home and possibly initiate attacks here back at home. But also the EU counterterrorism coordinator says, as he views it, and keep in mind this all happened before these events unfolded in Nice, that even though the threat is rising, the risk isn't rising because European intelligence communities are now sharing information better. There's clearly much more visible security all across this continent, but still you look at what the events unfolding right now in Nice, and you really do have to question, is Europe doing enough? And what else could possibly be done from intelligence agents here in Europe to try to thwart these threats? But obviously it's a very difficult job, some security experts have told me, an impossible task to completely eliminate the threat when you look at the nature of this enemy.
When you talk about the threat, I mean, the problem is that it's not like one army against one army. It is these terrorists who just kill innocent civilians.
Very large. The largest contingent of French jihadists, those who went to Syria and to Iraq, other places, is the largest pool demographically. So you expect that almost mathematically. But there is something else. The French jihadists in their narrative have committed to actually break down French economy. So it's happening.
Catherine Herridge, who was just here moments ago, is now reporting to us is that that truck was going full speed, going right into that crowd. Just look at the size of that truck. It is huge. I don't know. I mean, it's going full speed into a crowd of those people. Death is now 73, and of course it did have hand grenades. This is not an accident. I mean, this is, I mean, of course it's not. This is terrorism.
This is
people doing whatever they could and trying to cope, but it was a very, traumatic situation for everybody. We, ran into people that had lost multiple family members that were there in shock, not knowing what to do, and really just waiting for the authorities to come. And they did, but it was, the scale of it was such that it just took a long time for things to really, to really be handled. So.
And you said you ran into people who lost family members. It is impossible to imagine just you're celebrating, you're going through what's a joyful moment of fireworks, and something like this happens. It's impossible to comprehend for anybody trying to understand this. When you saw that truck, Ryan, was it driving? Did you see the driver at all? Did you have any glimpse of him or what he was doing or how he looked, or was it too far away?
It wasn't that far away. It was probably, 20 yards away, but it just happened very quickly, and everybody's attention was on the, on the fireworks, on the, the goings on there, and it was a little, it kind of registered kind of quickly, and then by the time you sort of got a sense of what had happened, the truck was further down the road. So no, I didn't get any sort of glimpse of the driver of the truck.
Well, Ryan, thank you for talking to us, and
yep.
Thank goodness that you are all right, that your family is all right, and thank you again for talking to us. I know you're in a state of shock and fear yourself. So,
Lobby just off the promenade, we should remember, in addition to the dead, there will be a number of wounded and injured. There was also this tremendous rush of people tripping and falling, we can presume, as they ran away from the danger. It usually takes a while to occur to people just what has happened. You're not altogether somewhat in disbelief, we should put it the other way, that this has happened, especially right in front of you, especially there on a holiday, on a warm night with your family. Matt Bradley is standing by in London for us. Matt, what can you add?
Well, one of the things that we've been seeing is that actually the former head of the former mayor of Nice and now the current president of the Nice region, he tweeted actually that they've set up a psychological cell for anyone who's seeking aid in the region. They can call a number, and
when somebody makes a statement,
well,
the administration removed the ability of the public to understand that this is a statement. When they talk about the caliphate, about jihadism, you have groups in this town that say, oh, this will be Islamophobia if you investigate that kind of narrative.
Well, it's usually in conjunction with something else. I mean, and they're usually saying something, but they're also going out and trying to gather explosives. They're getting a truck full of fertilizer, and they're doing something.
Once you get to that position, it becomes police activity, it becomes citizen who is a soldier in the community. But what you need is to inform that citizen. The president should go on national TV and inform the public, how do you recognize these jihadists? If he does that, he gets 90% of the people who become part of that resistance.
What would you like to hear President Obama say tonight? Should he speak tonight? What should he say?
He should speak. He should be in solidarity with the French people, of course, but he should, break that barrier and say, we're dealing with an ideology. We're going to go to the bottom of this ideology, and we want the people to be aware of it.
I thought, back in for Charlie Hebdo, when all those world leaders marched together down there, I thought that, I thought that was symbolically very big, and I thought it was symbolically very bad that our president didn't go.
It was.
I think he's even admitted it now.
Now he did. What to do now, at a few months from the end of the administration, he needs to do a major symbolic act. I don't know what that would be.
Who's the biggest leader against terrorism now? Which nation?
Well, actually, civil societies in the Middle East are fighting, and now simple citizens around the world, online, offline. That's where the resistance is happening. The leadership must step in. Must step in.
All right, Donald Trump has said that he wants a temporary ban on Muslims. He may choose Governor Pence, who says that is unconstitutional, and I think he used the term offensive in a tweet. Where do you stand on this?
Look, in 2015, Mr. Trump made that general statement in response to Paris, Brussels, etc., in California. But since then, he had speeches, and in these speeches, it was very clear that he was creating the framework of what he wants. He wants to shut down jihadism from coming to this country. We want to make sure that we are aware of how to identify them. He has moved. So basically, after the convention, into the election, and after that, hopefully he'll be elected, then he's going to gather the agencies and ask the talents of these agencies and ask them, I need a new policy. This policy is not working.
All right, well, here's part of the problem, is that a lot of people are radicalized here. I mean, and Mateen in Orlando is probably the best example. He was radicalized here. You can't build a wall to the internet. You can't, the people are still going to communicate. They're getting inspiration, they're getting financing, they're getting an awful lot from the internet. It is creating people here within the United States who want to do harm. What do you do about that?
Greta, how do they radicalize? We always talk about radicalization. It's indoctrination. They go online, find those ideas flying. Just imagine, you're going to intercept the ideas. You're going to destroy the idea in a discussion online. We don't have that infrastructure because we don't even call these concepts by their names. I had proposed this to Congress 7 years ago, that we need to work with NGOs online to do the battle online first.
Why don't they? If we all know that there are a lot of people who are recruiting, inspiring, and fundraising on the internet, and you've got the deep dark web, you've got all these, why aren't we attacking it in that direction more aggressively?
We are attacking at the last stage, as you just mentioned, when we know that they are moving with explosives, with weapons, they're flying and coming back. This is where we are attacking. Our agencies are attacking, but not before. It's the radicalization phase that we need to attack.
All right, well, we have on the line Joel Finster. He has seen the aftermath of this attack. Joel, tell me what you saw, please, and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Joel, can you hear me, Joel?
This is Eric Drattel.
Well, all right, Eric, I'll go to you then. Where are you, Eric?
I just walked into the Westminster Hotel on the Promenade des Anglais.
Were you witness to any of the aftermath of this terrorism?
Yes, we were on the beach having dinner, watching the fireworks, and heard gunfire, and we sheltered underneath in a space underneath the Promenade d'Anglais, and then we were there for about 2 hours, and we moved to a hotel. We were just allowed to leave the hotel, made a circuitous route to our hotel, which is right where in front of where many of the bodies are. You walk on the street and there are bodies everywhere. There's blood everywhere. I was standing in blood, didn't even realize it. My wife told me.
And I thought that there was lockdown. They're letting you move throughout the scene of this terrorism?
They're letting people move, go back to their hotels or wherever they're staying. There are police everywhere now. We had to make a very circuitous route back to the hotel, walking several blocks out of the way. And but and we were allowed to walk along the Promenade d'Anglais to get from the Hyatt to the Westminster Hotel where we're staying.
Eric, how far was the beach from where, if you know, from where the truck plowed into and mowed those innocent people down?
It was right there. We were at the beach, which is just below the road. The road is about 3 meters above the beach, and we were finishing dinner, and paying, and all of a sudden heard the pop, 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 pop sound, and my wife, who oddly enough is deaf, recognized those sounds as gunfire, and we ran for this kitchen and toilet area, which is actually under the promenade, and as we're running there are people diving off the promenade. One guy actually wound up banging into my wife, injured her arm. She's okay. But people were just diving off the road and the sidewalk to avoid the truck, I assume.
Eric, you know, most Americans have not spent Bastille Day in France and don't know what it's like. Can you tell me before this, you know, what the mood was and how the people were in Nice were celebrating?
It was very festive. It was like July 4th. We just saw a magnificent fireworks display. The Promenade d'Anglais was closed down for the day this afternoon, and people were walking along the promenade all day. It was a lovely day. It was like July 4th. There were bands playing. There were disc jockeys out. It was a lovely evening.
How close did you get to the truck after it was all over?
No, I didn't see the truck.
Didn't see the truck.
No.
You just saw the people scrambling. You heard the gunfire. You saw the people scrambling, and then of course the unthinkable: the bodies in the street and the blood.
That's correct.
What are the police saying now? They're letting people move around. The lockdown is lifted. The police must be pretty confident that there was only one person involved in this.
Well, I'm not sure about that because when we were walking back to our hotel, the police appeared to be detaining 2 guys. They had shoved up against a fence. Two young men, my guess is in the early to mid-20s. But I can't tell you whether they had anything to do with anything here. But the police, very heavily armed police, were questioning them.
They didn't stop you and ask to go through any of your items? I mean, they weren't stopping everybody?
Oh my gosh! Just to get into the hotel where we were evacuated to from the restaurant on the beach. Yeah.
You know, these pictures, I don't know if you can see the pictures that we see, but the pictures, show the utter chaos. And I mean, obviously you saw a whole lot worse than we're seeing with these pictures.
So when we went into the hotel we were initially evacuated to, I was searched 5 times in the space of about 10 feet.